Hello, YouTube. RimWorld Biotech Update is here, and we're going to talk a lot more about the systems involved in it as we go. But the short version is there are three primary systems. There is child rearing, child care, being able to have children in the games. There is being able to control mechs, and then there's the ability to change the genomes of humans to make them xenogenetically modified as demonstrated by the horns here. So we're going to go into a playthrough. There is a new scenario that caught my eye, which is the Mechanator. One Mechanator and a few servant mechanoids. So the Mechanator is the person who controls mechs and seems like a very interesting character to play with because you can potentially build a thriving colony with only one person at its core, which comes with some pretty big advantages and disadvantages. So to read the scenario, you knew you could only achieve greatness with help. People were too unreliable, so you chose to take on mechanoids as your servants, workers, and warriors. As you gained strength, others became fearful. It became clear you needed to get away from the influence of humanity. Now you've migrated to the sparsely populated RimWorld with some of your metallic helpers. Finally, you have the space to grasp your true potential. Note, since your starting character will lack some skills, this is a difficult scenario. Your faction will be new arrivals, and you will have one Mechanator, that is the human class that controls the mechs. That's important because one of the design philosophies that Tynan, the developer, talked about with Mechanators is that he didn't want to make it so you could have a mech colony. So the idea here is that mechs are controlled by a human through kind of like a mind link. You will also start with the research battery, the research for basic mech tech, and microelectronics. We will have two mechanoids to start, a lifter and a constructoid, 1,000 silver, 40 packaged meals, 10 medicine, 55 components, 900 steel, 100 plasteel, and 5 basic subcores, which my understanding is these are the things that are needed to make mechs. So far looks good to me. As the thumbnail would suggest, I've decided that Randy Random is going to get a chance to ruin our day, and I'm going to stick with Strive to Survive and not go any higher because Randy has a tendency to have long lapses of uninteresting stuff going on, which will give us some time to learn the systems, and then potentially throw the entire kitchen sink at us, so we'll need to be ready. We're going to go with Reload anytime. I am going to play this honest man, like I have no intention of save scumming or anything like that, but I do think that it is useful, especially since biotech just came out. Things might not be working, we might have crashes, etc. So autosaves are our friend. Let's go with the Seedpotamus. Why not? We'll leave the globe coverage at 30 for this early run. I don't have the expectation that we are going to be going crazy and this is going to be a super long-lived run. This is really about learning, experimentation, testing some things out. We'll leave all of these at normal, and then pollution is a new map feature. We'll find a patch of it so that I can show it to you, but it's basically pollution is the system that is the byproduct of mechs. And we'll talk more about that as we get into our run. There are also a whole variety of new xeno-humans to deal with. There is the Rough Pig Union, there is the Savage Impid tribe. These are fire breathers. Let's read a few of these, actually. A vicious tribe of yellow-skinned, fire-spewing impids. This particular tribe has no intention of coexisting peacefully with anyone else. Their warriors are experts at using their natural speed and flame attacks to burn towns and children of other people. Very nice. Whereas the Pig Union is a loose union of hardy pig-skinned townships. They're willing to make friends even with thin snouts, but they are also ready to toss a bomb and gnaw human gristle when it suits them. The lore on the Rough Pig Union is that they were xeno-humans designed to be like organ harvested type of thing, which I think is a very interesting concept. There's the Mechanoid Hive, the Shattered Empire as usual, and I think that's pretty much it. So let's generate a world. I'm on pins and needles here. the lore is deep and very interesting. Now, oh, is this which one is this? This is the Psychic Society. Oh, we didn't look at that one. Probably should have. So I think I want to go up north. Maybe somewhere in this this large expanse. I wouldn't mind being near a trading partner just in case, although I don't know exactly how we're going to trade. This is an example of pollution. So pollution is this purple stuff that takes over the map and will adversely affect people and is presumably the byproduct of mech type stuff. So I'm looking over here, and one thing that I'm thinking about with our character is I am thinking about the possibility of creating someone who is a little bit temperature permissive as someone who is going to live here, and then also going for kind of like a mountain people type of thing. We will see if that becomes problematic with insect swarms and things like that. But I kind of like the idea of this, and I like us being in a cold climate because the idea is we are fleeing from people, right? We're trying to make our own mech utopia. Hey, Stefan, one of my all-time favorite games, to be sure. And they just came out with a new DLC expansion called Biotech that has some fascinating stuff in it. So for ideology, I'm not going to do anything particularly crazy here. So we'll stick with just a fluid run, which is something that we previously haven't tried. But this basically means we'll build our ideology over time. And I'm thinking we'll go with Archist because, you know, tech stuff. I think that makes sense. And then I'm leaning right now towards collectivist. So for context, collectivist means that your work drive is increased. You can wear visage masks if you want to, but you don't have to. You have an initial starting ritual, which is symbol burning. And perhaps most importantly, and I don't know if we'll use this, but we have the ability to make slavery something that is acceptable so that we can utilize it if we need to. And then I think we will allow drug use for medical only. And this is going to be our starting ideology. Let's see, some hair and beards. The Silence Bender and the Tusk of Family will be our artifacts if we decide to do that. I don't know how it's going to look to caravan with mechs. I think that's going to be pretty interesting. So we have a Harmony Shrine. We have a Kneel Sheet. I prefer the Kneel Pillow. There's only going to be one of us, so if we decide to do anything like that, I think that's fine. And then I want to remove this, and I want to add a more interesting building. Maybe not. Maybe small sculpture is what we stick with. I don't think we're going to change any of these others. We're not going to be eating fungus, I don't think. Although food is going to be something that we need to think a bit about. And now it's time to meet a friend. And this is one of the few mods that we have installed. I didn't talk about the mods too much, but basically it's just camera plus, random plus, etc. But the random editor allows you to basically, without changing the way that randomization is generated, we can set some minimum thresholds. So for context, because we are the only person, there's quite a few things that we just kind of need. We don't necessarily need plants or animals. We don't really need artistic. We don't really need social, but we definitely need the ability to research. We need some medical skill for initial self-tending. Construction, mining, and cooking. Wait, where's crafting? And crafting are all particularly important. Crafting is used to actually make mechs. Cooking, mining, and construction are kind of obvious ones. Mining especially, because I think we're going to be going for a lot of like digging into hillsides early on, etc. And then shooting. Now, so we're going to randomize our pawn until we find someone that looks like what we need. So, oh, that reminds me, one of the things that I do want to do, where is age? We don't want anyone too old. Just because it'll make for a short playthrough if we end up with someone particularly old. So Sophia Poopy Avery is our first one. I like that we have high crafting, but probably not what we're looking for exactly. I wouldn't mind a slightly higher mining skill, and I wouldn't mind a bit of passion around mining. So let's just take a look at a few more before we do that. Oh, we hit the 1,000 rerolls on that one, so maybe I'm getting a little too picky. So it's sitting here doing a bunch of randomization for us, trying to get us something that we need. So it looks like we've been a little too demanding. I'm going to put crafting at 1, perhaps. We are going to need to do some cooking, so I want to keep that. Ideally, no dementia to start would be pretty special for me, Stefan. I think incapable of violence is a little bit punishing, so we probably won't do that. Talk to me about this one. You're a gourmand. So we get a bit of extra cooking. We have mining as a passion. Shooting doesn't do us a lot of good in the long term, but I don't mind this. Ooh, actually, yeah, this would be a little tough to deal with. It's going to be a while before we have the ability to get rid of scars, and having a singular pawn that is constantly in pain would be challenging. We also don't want to pick someone who is pregnant. Another aspect of the new the new mod. Fast worker and hard worker were pretty amazing there. So let's see, construction, mining, animals, and a lot of social. We could potentially make this pawn work, but the cooking is really rough here. Because we're not going to have the ability to cook for a while. Ooh, talk to me about you. Psychically deaf, kind. I don't mind psychically deaf. Animals, crafting. You have some cooking, you have some mining, some construction. Sure. Let's go with Gemma Gem Cannon as our first person. Yeah, so Recluse is actually locked in. All of them have Recluse, Drew. That's part of the Mechanator scenario. So yeah, so let's go with this. I think Psychically Deaf is going to be nice. We're not going to have to worry about drones or anything like that. And let's go into the xenotype editor, because this is fascinating. So this is the genetics of RimWorld, and we're not going to go into everything here, but there is a lot. And actually, wait, what's our research at here? 5 intellectual is okay. We're going to be doing a lot of researching. So yes. So the way that genetics works is when you add particular skills, it modifies your metabolic efficiency, which is which is a plus on metabolic efficiency means you need to eat less frequently. And so, as an example, we could make this character super size sensitive. That would mean that they are very, very hungry all of the time. But you see there are some pluses and some minuses. So you can kind of balance things. So like, for instance, coagulate. Now, does this just add the trait, I wonder? So if I do that and I close, so it doesn't add it here, even though I think coagulator was a trait before. Oh, I did not save it. Hold on, let's try that again. Coagulate lacks a prerequisite, hemogenetics. Oh, I see. So there's some type of dependency. So we have to do something like that. Oh, wait. So when I did the xenotype editor, it took away the character that we had generated. Interesting. Okay, so... Oh, but it also didn't save it here. So let's see. So anyways, some of the things that we want, or I have decided that we want. I think it is good for us to be cold tolerant, because we are going to be living in the far north. I think that it would be good for us to be sanguine, but now we need to pick some negatives to kind of balance this out, so we're not like eating a ton of food all of the time. We can go with psychically deaf, right? That limits our character and kind of balances that out, which I think is fine. And then let's also grab heat weakness. So now we're sitting at a metabolic 0. which I think is good. But we're going to be an optimist and psychically deaf always. We will be cold tolerant, and we will have a heat weakness, which lines up well with kind of our plan. Genes are heritable, ignore restrictions. No, we'll go with that. So this is going to reroll. So we're going to go back to rerolling pawns, but that's what random plus is for. Unless Mila looks good. So psychically deaf, optimist, kind. Let's randomize again. I really hope that the xenotype editor carries over from roll to roll. Looks like it does. Minor artery blockage. How about we don't? How about we don't? So we got some cooking. We're going to be doing a fair amount of cooking because it's going to be a while before we can do it. Construction and mining being 0, though, is too much to handle. So let's see. This meets all of our requirements. We have a burning passion in animals, a burning passion in crafting. I don't think we need to be good. A nudist. Living on an ice sheet as a nudist is probably not recommended. Ooh, great memory, tough. Psychically deaf, optimist. This has to be our person. Oh yeah. Yep, this is it. BODE is going to be our Mechanator. So let's get on in to the festivities.